Hestia, one of the original Olympian deities, is the eldest daughter of Cronus and Rhea. Unlike her more dramatic siblings, Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, and Hades, Hestia is gentle, modest, and quietly powerful. She embodies the hearth, the sacred flame that warms homes, temples, and cities, serving as the spiritual and physical center of life. Hestia is often depicted as a calm, veiled woman, holding a sacred flame or a branch from the hearth. She represents stability, domesticity, and the bond between mortals and the divine. Despite her quiet nature, she was greatly revered. Every meal began with an offering to her, and every home maintained a hearth in her honor. Unlike gods of war, love, or trickery, Hestia does not seek glory, conflict, or dramatic exploits. Her power lies in her constancy, her ability to bring peace, and her role in ensuring the sanctity of family and community life. While her myths are less flashy than those of Zeus or Hermes, they are filled with profound lessons about devotion, loyalty, and the sacredness of home. Before humans had mastered fire, life was harsh and cold. People huddled in caves and struggled to cook food or warm themselves. Seeing this, Hestia descended from Olympus, carrying a small, divine flame in her hands. She placed it at the center of a communal space and taught humans how to nurture it. "The flame is more than warmth," Hestia said. "It is life, connection, and sacred trust. Protect it, and it will protect you." Hestia's gift of fire was sacred and delicate. She instructed humans to honor the flame with prayers, offerings, and respect. Over time, communities grew around this central hearth, and Hestia's presence became symbolic of unity and safety. Her flame never goes out. Temples across Greece maintained eternal fires in her honor, symbolizing the enduring power of domestic and civic harmony. This myth emphasizes Hestia as a foundational goddess whose influence underpins both human survival and spiritual practice. When the time came for Zeus to claim the throne of Olympus, Hestia was offered the position of queen. She could have taken a powerful, commanding role like Hera, but she chose a different path. "I will not seek power over gods or mortals," Hestia declared. "My domain is the hearth, the heart of home and family. There I will serve best." Her choice allowed her siblings to vie for influence and glory, while she became a silent but indispensable presence. By stepping aside from political power, Hestia preserved neutrality and harmony among the gods. This decision also reflects her wisdom and humility. True influence, she demonstrated, comes not from domination, but from the constancy and care of daily life. Hestia's quiet strength maintained the balance of Olympus as much as any battlefield victory. Hestia's presence is intimately tied to hospitality, the sacred duty of welcoming strangers and caring for the vulnerable. In one myth, a weary traveler arrived at a small village, hungry and exhausted. The villagers were hesitant, fearing theft or misfortune. Hestia appeared to the village chief in a dream. "Offer him food and warmth," she instructed. "By honoring strangers, you honor me and the divine order." The villagers followed her guidance. They built a fire in the hearth, prepared food, and welcomed the traveler. In gratitude, he revealed himself as a disguised god, bringing blessings of prosperity to the village. Through this myth, Hestia teaches that hospitality is not merely etiquette, but a sacred duty. Homes and hearths are gateways to divine favor, and the goddess's flame symbolizes trust, generosity, and community cohesion. Every city in Greece maintained a sacred fire dedicated to Hestia. One myth recounts the founding of a major temple in Delphi. As construction began, Hestia appeared, blessing the site with a flame from Olympus. "Let this flame never extinguish," she said. "It will symbolize the enduring presence of the gods and the unity of mortals." Priests and citizens maintained the flame, tending it with care through wind, rain, and war. When invaders threatened the city, the flame's light guided survivors to safety, reminding them that divine protection resides not in arms but in devotion, discipline, and respect for sacred traditions. This myth highlights Hestia's role as guardian of civilization, showing how even subtle, peaceful powers can sustain communities through crises. During a great feast on Olympus, the gods gathered to celebrate victory over the Titans. As food was prepared, a dispute arose over who should sit at the most honored place. Hera, Athena, and Apollo all claimed precedence. Hestia intervened, calm and silent, holding the sacred flame. "There is no place above the hearth," she said. "Around it, all are equal. Let the flame remind you that power, pride, and glory are fleeting, but the hearth endures." The gods took her words to heart, arranging themselves around the flame in harmony. This myth reflects Hestia's role as peacemaker, the invisible force ensuring order and balance even among immortal beings. During times of war and strife, mortals often fled to temples and homes for sanctuary. One story recounts a city under siege, where families huddled around Hestia's hearth, praying for protection. Hestia, moved by their devotion, sent warmth and calm into the hearts of all who sought shelter. Soldiers and attackers alike were struck by a sense of peace and hesitation, giving the city time to negotiate terms and avoid massacre. This myth emphasizes her power not in combat, but in creating spaces of refuge, healing, and human solidarity. The goddess's flame symbolizes safety, hope, and the quiet strength that sustains life even in turmoil. Hestia's role extended beyond homes into the very heart of cities. When a new settlement was to be established, the first act was always to light a sacred hearth in the center. One myth tells of a fledgling city threatened by famine and discord. Hestia appeared in the dreams of the city's founders, guiding them to build their homes around a central hearth. "Let the flame be the heart of your city," she said. "Here, you will meet, celebrate, and resolve disputes. Here, your people will find unity." Once the hearth was lit, the community began to thrive. People came together to share food, ideas, and labor, and the city became known for its peace and prosperity. Hestia's presence ensured that even in times of scarcity, her wisdom and the warmth of the hearth kept the city united and resilient. Hestia was closely associated with family harmony and marital fidelity. One tale recounts a young couple on the brink of divorce due to jealousy and miscommunication. Both were filled with pride and unwilling to yield. Hestia appeared to them in the guise of a kindly elder, sitting near the hearth of their home. She spoke softly. "The flame you see here burns because each day it is tended with care. Your love is no different, it requires attention, respect, and patience. Feed it, and it will endure." The couple reflected on her words, rekindling both their affection and understanding. From that day forward, they tended their hearth with devotion, making it a symbol of their unity and mutual respect. This myth highlights Hestia's subtle yet profound influence over domestic harmony, showing that her power is quiet but transformative. Even among the mighty gods of Olympus, conflicts arose over power, recognition, and pride. One famous dispute involved Poseidon and Athena, who both wanted to claim the patronage of a new city. Hestia, ever the peacemaker, approached the council of gods, carrying her sacred flame. She did not raise her voice or issue threats, instead, she reminded them of the importance of order and balance. "Power is fleeting," she said. "The city's hearth is eternal. It is the home of mortals, and your quarrels should not endanger it." The gods, moved by her wisdom and calm authority, relented. Athena became the patron of wisdom, Poseidon of the seas, but Hestia's flame remained at the heart of the city, ensuring that peace and domestic order prevailed. Hestia was often called upon to watch over the most vulnerable mortals. In one tale, a group of orphans wandered near the edge of a dangerous forest. They had no home, no protection, and feared the night. Hestia appeared in a gentle, radiant form, summoning a circle of light from her hearth. She guided the children to an abandoned village, showing them which homes to occupy and how to tend a communal fire for warmth and cooking. Under her guidance, the children built a thriving, self-sufficient community. They never forgot Hestia's presence, lighting a small flame each night in gratitude. This story illustrates her compassion and reinforces her role as guardian of home and sanctuary, protecting not through might but through care, guidance, and stability. Festivals in ancient Greece often honored Hestia, as she presided over the hearth and communal gatherings. One myth tells of a festival in a city struck by famine and disease. The citizens feared they could not celebrate properly. Hestia appeared before the town elders and instructed them on how to create a sacred fire and organize a feast, even with limited resources. As the festival proceeded, the citizens worked together, shared their meager provisions, and honored the goddess through song, dance, and prayer. Miraculously, the famine eased, and the sick recovered. The festival became a lasting tradition, with Hestia's flame symbolizing unity, resilience, and the transformative power of communal care and devotion. Though she never wielded weapons like Ares or inspired love like Aphrodite, Hestia's power was protective and enduring. In one story, a warrior returned from battle to find his home destroyed and his family scattered. Desperate, he prayed to Hestia for guidance. The goddess appeared, not with force, but with counsel. She instructed him to rebuild carefully, to teach neighbors to watch over one another, and to keep the hearth sacred. Over time, the community regained its strength, and the warrior's home became a place of warmth and safety for all travelers. This myth demonstrates that Hestia's protection is not dramatic, but constant. Her influence ensures that mortals survive hardship, not by might, but through care, unity, and devotion to sacred duties. In ancient Greece, roads were perilous, and travelers often faced robbers, storms, and wild animals. One night, a merchant carrying goods to a distant city found himself lost and exhausted. The moon hid behind clouds, and fear gripped him. Hestia appeared as a gentle, glowing figure by a roadside hearth. She guided him toward a small village, where the villagers, inspired by the goddess's presence, opened their homes and hearths to the weary traveler. They offered food, warmth, and safety, ensuring the merchant could continue his journey. From that day forward, travelers often made offerings to Hestia at crossroads and village hearths, honoring the goddess who watched over those far from home. This myth emphasizes her role as guardian not just of homes, but of all who seek refuge. Families were the foundation of Greek society, and Hestia ensured their harmony. In one tale, a household was torn apart by quarrels between siblings, each claiming their father's inheritance prematurely. Tension and anger poisoned the home. Hestia appeared silently at the hearth, her flame flickering gently. She reminded the family. The hearth is not a place for strife. It is the heart of your home. Nurture it with patience, respect, and care for one another. Through her subtle presence, the siblings' tempers cooled. They reconciled, establishing a household that prospered for generations. Hestia's lesson was clear: true wealth is not in property or power, but in unity and respect within the family. Even warriors and heroes, known for their strength and valor, were not immune to discord. In one story, two armies prepared for battle over a contested city. Both sides had brave leaders and skilled soldiers, yet neither wished to see needless death. Hestia appeared at the central hearth of the city, sending a calm warmth through the land. Both generals experienced a vision of the goddess, her flame illuminating the futility of conflict and the value of preservation. In awe, they agreed to negotiations rather than war. The city remained unharmed, its people safe, and Hestia's sacred flame burned as a reminder that peace is often achieved not through might, but through wisdom, patience, and divine guidance. Temples dedicated to Hestia often kept eternal flames, symbolizing continuity, devotion, and divine presence. One myth tells of a temple threatened by fire and earthquake. Villagers feared the sacred flame would be extinguished. Hestia appeared to the priests in a vision, instructing them to safeguard the hearth and tend it with unwavering devotion. They worked together, rebuilding protective structures and tending the fire with care. The flame endured, a symbol of Hestia's enduring presence and the resilience of communities that honor sacred duty. Through this story, Hestia demonstrates that the divine is preserved not through displays of power, but through persistent care, discipline, and devotion. Whenever a family moved into a new home, Hestia was honored first. One tale recounts a couple building a house on the outskirts of a fertile valley. They struggled to maintain harmony during construction, facing disagreements over design, labor, and priorities. Hestia appeared at the hearth, her presence radiating calm. She taught them to work in cooperation, showing that patience and mutual respect could overcome all obstacles. When the house was finished, the couple lit the hearth, offering the first meal to Hestia. The goddess blessed the home, ensuring abundance, harmony, and protection for generations. This myth emphasizes her role as the invisible guide, shaping human lives through subtle influence rather than overt intervention. Hestia's influence was not limited to homes, she also played a crucial role in cities and governance. One myth tells of a city whose council was plagued by corruption and greed. Citizens quarreled, and civic life faltered. Hestia appeared in a dream to the city's leaders, appearing as a calm woman by a hearth. She whispered, "The heart of your city is its people, and the flame of justice must burn within every home. Serve them with care, and the city will thrive." Inspired, the leaders reformed, instituting fair laws and fostering community gatherings around the hearth. Hestia's subtle guidance ensured that cities flourished when their people honored the sacred duties of home, hearth, and civic life. In times of war, even the mightiest heroes sought shelter in her domain. A myth tells of a village caught between warring factions, its homes and families in danger. Hestia appeared at the central hearth, her flame radiating warmth and courage. She guided the villagers to protect their homes and care for one another. Soldiers approaching the village felt the calming influence of her flame, hesitating before attacking. The conflict passed with minimal bloodshed, and the villagers celebrated Hestia's quiet protection. This myth shows that her power is subtle yet life-saving, preserving communities through devotion, unity, and care rather than force. Though Hestia rarely took part in battles, heroes often honored her before undertaking great quests. One tale recounts a young warrior preparing to face a fearsome monster threatening his village. Before leaving, he lit a hearth in his home, offering the first portion of his meal to Hestia. That night, he dreamed of the goddess, who whispered, "Courage without wisdom is like a flame without care, it burns only briefly. Tend both, and you will succeed." Guided by her words, the warrior approached the monster not with reckless strength, but with careful planning and compassion. He managed to tame it rather than destroy it, saving his village and earning everlasting respect. This myth highlights Hestia's guidance, showing that her influence often manifests as wisdom that shapes mortal decisions. Hestia's protective power often extended to the most vulnerable. In a village struck by famine, a child wandered away from her family into the dark forest. The villagers feared she would be lost forever. Hestia appeared at the central hearth, her flame glowing brighter than ever. She guided the villagers along invisible paths and whispered instructions through the wind. Following her subtle cues, they found the child safe, seated by a small fire that seemed to glow magically in the night. The villagers built a new community hearth in gratitude, and the child grew to honor Hestia's guidance all her life. This story emphasizes that Hestia's guardianship is quiet but enduring, protecting mortals when they are most defenseless. Marriage, as the foundation of family, was under Hestia's special care. In one myth, a noblewoman feared that her husband's pride and her own stubbornness would destroy their marriage. Hestia appeared in their home as a gentle presence, sitting by the hearth and tending the flames. She showed them that the fire must be nurtured daily, small acts of kindness, patience, and mutual respect were the fuel of lasting love. Through her subtle lessons, the couple reconciled, turning their home into a place of warmth and harmony. Their union became legendary, and their descendants honored Hestia with every domestic flame they lit. Hestia's influence even extended to political matters. One myth tells of two city-states on the brink of war over trade disputes. Tensions were high, and bloodshed seemed inevitable. Hestia appeared in the dreams of both leaders, showing them a vision of a central hearth, warm and undisturbed. She whispered, "The flame belongs to all. Conflict will only extinguish it. Find common ground, and your people will flourish." The leaders awoke with renewed perspective and met to negotiate a treaty, guided by the goddess's wisdom. The cities prospered together, and Hestia's flame became a symbol of enduring peace and collaboration.